Good morning. This is Rodrigo Loureiro, your host to the CyberVerse. This is another episode of the CyberVerse Business Report. Today, I'm very happy and very glad to have here my good friend Luis. Luis, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited about catching up with you. As always, it's good to talk to you.
It's
And I'm
great.
doing
It's
great.
great.
Ready for the weekend.
Re-
Ready for the weekend.
Awesome. We're always ready for the weekend. We're always. Uh, our week is just a succession of days until Friday. So we finally made it to
Yes,
Friday.
agree.
So, I've met you already, probably, gosh, what, 6 years ago or something like that. I was back then. I was the CISO at Laureate, and you walked into my office, and you were pitching Cisco products. Was that right?
That's right. I think it's about. When did you start at Laureate? What year was it that you started? Like 2015 or 2014? Trying to remember.
2015. 2015.
Okay, so I think that's around the time we met then. Yeah. So it's been 7 years. No, actually 8 years, Rodrigo. So it's a long time.
Exactly. I definitely there were some rough patches, me interfacing with the Cisco team, but you came to the rescue.
Yep.
So, Luis, I don't know if we already had this conversation or not, but you've been at, I think you started at EDS, you did sales at IBM, and then you did cybersecurity sales at Cisco, and now you're at Lumu. And what made you go from this string of very large companies, IBM and EDS and Cisco, and now landing on a startup? What made you make such a big change in your career?
That's a very interesting question, Rodrigo. So the reason I made the change is because I can take a chance now. I'm single. I mean, I have a girlfriend, but I don't have to like maintain a family. My daughter, it's older, and actually she just moved out this week. She moved to Canada, so I'm excited about that. So like now I have and I was planning for that, right? I was thinking, all right, now I can take bigger risks. I had some health issues too at the time, like so I stayed at Cisco longer than I wanted to. I mean, I didn't have a bad time at Cisco. I actually love working at Cisco, but at Cisco you're very limited, and at big companies you're very limited in your creativity and what you do. You have a very narrow lane. At a startup, you can actually influence a lot more. Here, I'm involved with the marketing stuff. I'm involved, of course. I'm in charge of sales for the U.S. and Canada. I work with our inside sales team, trying to make phone calls, trying to get people like you on the phone, right? And all kinds of little things, what to say, right? We're still understanding our messaging. So everything that a big company when you join already has, and they evolve and they do reorgs every 6 months, and you were a lawyer for a long time, so you know how that goes, right? Here it's like I like that I get to do that, and some days are frustrating because you're like trying to get known, right? But we have some great days. One of the big things that I feel like that has been rewarding is that we got our company with a reseller called Carousel that carries all the contracts for state and local for the U.S. That was I started that process with one of my sales guys, and finally we're on their website, we're on their contracts. So I was involved from soup to nuts with that. So just as an example, of course, the deals are more important, but that's something that I can think about right away without saying a customer name that I can do that.
So you found Lumu. You went to a smaller company because you want to make an impression in the world. You want to leave your mark, and the big Cisco wouldn't really allow you to expand your creativity and expand your influence. Is that a good summary?
I want to make an impact. And I actually, one of the things, I actually work at Internet Security Systems when it was very small, not as small as this one, but they were small. So I felt like I was making a big impact. I was the third person in Latin America. At the time I used to cover Latin America, and I felt like every day I could create things like, like, for example, if I met somebody like you and then you told me, Luis, I need help with this, but I don't have the budget, or I cannot pay right away, or I can, how can we make this happen? I need services, I need this. And I was able to make it happen right away, right? I can just by asking, I can make it happen right away. And I was part of the growth. And then I started hiring some people on my team and, mentoring. And at the time I was in my 20s. I had some guys in the team that were like in their 40s, some consultants, especially that were, so it was a challenge. Now I'm the old guy and I have a bunch of young people working for me. So it's exciting to work with the young people and get the new energy of the new generation too. So it's kind of interesting going back to that. I always miss the ISS environment because I was in Atlanta and it was a small group and I knew pretty much everybody in the office and we would go and party. I mean, now it's different, but back then, we would do things together as a team, and it was very tight knit. So I missed that a little bit, and now I feel like I'm getting it back differently now because everything's virtual. But whenever we get together, we have a good time as a team.
Yeah, I mean, this the cybersecurity industry. One of the big differences between cybersecurity and the IT industry in general is that these days there isn't so much in the pure technology and IT industry a lot of room for a lot of startup. You have these big guys that take care of everything, the Microsofts, the Oracles, and those big companies. But and you see this when you go into a conference floor for an IT conference versus a cybersecurity conference, where in the IT there's this mega booth with a few vendors, and then you go to a cybersecurity. It seems like these days it seems that every conference there is more companies present in the cybersecurity. We have this conference and there's like 1,300 security companies represented. It is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is super exciting, and it's interesting how everybody's trying to tackle the same problem from different angles, right? Like there's like so many ways to tackle in the IT world. I think from the beginning everything was more integrated, like it was built a little differently. In security, everything's kind of like it's like trying to protect a bank, right? You need the logs, you need like it's a more disjointed system that everybody's trying to bring together in some way, some logical way to help make it easier. I mean, because the bad guys keep, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And whenever I go to those conferences, I run into friends of mine that I know from other companies in security. So it's a really interesting community. I actually had a question for you, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
So you have the role of CISO, and you have the role of CIO. So I have two questions. Which one did you like best? So let's start with that one. I have a follow on to that one.
So it's a very good question, and I would resume it, and the answer is I liked the role of the CIO best, and I'll just expand a little bit on it because in the organization where I was, the CISO reports to the CIO. So the CIO can do the CISO job and can put his hands on security anytime he wants because he's the boss. I liked the CIO role better because it's a bigger perspective than just security. And typically throughout my life and throughout my career, I always liked the bigger role and to have the big picture and the big vision. Even in terms of security, we always talk about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And I think the CIO.
I haven't heard that in a while.
You haven't heard that in a while, right?
No, yeah, that's a term that we used to say a lot, like or the OSI model, right? But continue. I just like maybe remember that. Yeah.
I'm the old guy, right? So I say these things that the young people haven't heard in a while. But the CIO really takes care of everything: the security and the availability. And there's always tension between security and availability. And I really enjoyed, essentially making sure, yes, CISO. Security is very important. I used to be a CISO, I know that, but availability is also important. And there are always, as a CISO, I always pride myself into not being the chief of no, and I think I was successful at that. But unfortunately, in our industry, there are a lot of CISOs that are the chief of no. And as a CIO, you need to temper the need to say no because of security with the need to do availability. And as I say, the secret is to be a secure CIO.
That's interesting. Yeah, because a lot of people don't think like that, and you always get we lived at your previous company where you had the the networking group and security. Actually, at the beginning, they were kind of like on the same thing, and then I see this a lot of companies where you have the networking side and the security side, and you see a lot of clashing just for kind of control, or it's like I don't know, it's like something you see a lot. When I talk to customers, you see that, especially when I was at Cisco, because we used to talk a lot more to the networking side than the security side.
And that's the reason why I love the CIO role more than the CISO, is because the world today is a digital world. The world today is a connected world. So nobody can live in an island, and that world where you can have the separate network team from the security team and from the DBA team and from the application team. That's a world that doesn't work. And as a CIO, I got the opportunity to really build an organization and build a culture where these are not separate teams. These are all collaborating teams. And at the end of the day, we need to realize that IT and technology exists to serve the business and to serve the users. So you need to bring down those walls and create a collaborative environment within IT to provide a secure IT experience to the users. Hence, my love for the CIO role.
That's interesting. I wasn't expecting that, but that makes sense. It was also a new challenge for you, right? When you took that role, maybe you in the end were like the CIO, the CISO, and the CTO of Laureate, right? You have the CTO title as well, or yeah, or
exactly. That's a very interesting topic by itself, because you in a lot of organizations you do have the CIO and you have the CTO, and as I typically always say, the CIO keeps the lights on, keeps everything working, and the CTO does all the fun stuff. Has all the fun with the new technology, and it's going to depend on the organizations. But in a lot of organizations, what you are seeing is to have either the CIO rolling onto the CTO or having the CTO roll on to the CIO. And the main reason you're seeing that trend in the organization of companies is because, as I said, it's a connected world, and you cannot have security on one side, day-to-day operations of IT on the other side, and then strategy innovation on the different side. So having CIO, CTO, and CISO separate it tends to be a recipe for disaster. So bringing that on to one organization that is in charge of security, technology operations, and technology strategy and innovation, for me, tends to be the best approach. Of course, organizations need to take into account who they have on their staff, because not every CIO can be the CISO as well as the CTO. So it's going to depend on the organization, what are the skill set of their executives.
Interesting. Thanks, Rodrigo. Those are my two questions that I had.
I like to think that I can do all those three roles very well. So I really enjoyed my time being a CIO that was in charge of security and in charge of technology.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting because I feel like I have a few roles here too, within the company, because we're a smaller company, and sometimes I want to do everything, right? I wanted to get everything done in one day, and it's hard for me as a person that likes to execute and get things done quickly, like not being able to. So I'm imagining, at your scale that you were at, it must have been insane, right? Trying to get everything going on. Like you were responsible for a lot of people, a lot of teams, a lot of different personalities, trying to get them to go in the right direction, right? And here at my company, we're trying to, we're changing a little bit of messaging. We're changing a few things. We're changing from people. We have a free version of the product, but people are not just like, hey, I want to download it and use it. We have to educate them. So we're kind of changing more to let's do the education first. Let's be advisors to our customers first, and then we can then we can go, to the product. If we need to, I have some customers that have bought it without testing, for example. But I'm trying to do everything. Sometimes it's like, okay, how do we get from going that way to going this way? And it includes a lot of things that I go like, man, I want to finish this stuff so we can get, so we can even accelerate faster.
Yes, definitely. That's very, very, very important. We need to have that integrated experience. And you said one thing that's very important, and even product companies need to realize that they have a role to play as advisors. And these days, that's really the role that I play the most is the advisor. And talking in terms of advisory and going back to the beginning of conversation of having all of these companies and startups working on the same problem with different angles. What is the problem that Lumu is going to solve for us?
Yes, so that's a very interesting question. So the challenge that we're solving is the need to orchestrate and automate things. So what our customers are telling us, not our our marketing is a little different, and we're working on changing that. But is that we can replace their SIM, which is an interesting premise, especially for smaller companies. When I'm talking about companies between 100 to 3,000 users, we have a few that are bigger. But the automation piece, like so the way it works is like we gather metadata and then we will interact with their existing cybersecurity stack to stop threats. So like if the person has like a firewall, all the major vendors of firewalls, all the major vendors of EDR, all the major vendors of email, we can ingest traffic from those, but we can also like talk to the EDR or talk to the firewall. Hey, I saw this, that this got through. You need to block it. And that's actually helping a lot of organizations that have 2 or 3 people that don't have the luxury of being at a big company like a Cisco or Laureate to stop things, and then they can investigate, right? So taking the tactic of, if I go into a bank, right? If you have a bank and you're the manager of the bank, and I go to you and I say, hey, I have a bomb here. I want all the money. You're not gonna say, but Luis, why do you want that money? No, you will try to stop me if you can, or the guard will try to stop you, kill me, or kick me out of the bank, right? And in security, sometimes we take the approach of, oh, I want to understand why this guy, what he did, and all this stuff. No, like we need to stop it and get rid of it, like we do in the real. And then you do an investigation and do some of that. But sometimes the security vendors are focused too much on the detecting things and to prevention, but in the end, it's about, you have to assume that you're compromised, that something bad is going to happen, and so that's what's giving us a lot of traction, and we're a lot cheaper and also like easy to redeploy.
So, are you going to put that on your T-shirt, Lumu? We stop bank robberies.
Yeah, I can do that. I would love to do that.
I think that's
I was trying to tell my CEO that we're like the SIM killer company, because again, some people are going to need SIMs, but the people that don't need SIMs are getting a good outcome with us.
No, it's really a fascinating topic, and I think that's a big problem that we have in our industry today. And just by coincidence, that's a conversation that I had earlier today with a Gartner analyst, where they were telling me that one of the biggest problems right now in the industry is really about automation and integration, and it ties back to the earlier point that we were talking about, because the cybersecurity industry is so fragmented. There are so many different vendors that large organizations right now are lost in the number of cybersecurity tools that they have, and the time security teams spend doing integrations between the different cybersecurity tools. That one of the biggest added value that any product company can offer to a large client today is implementing automation, implementing collaboration and interoperability between cybersecurity tools, because cybersecurity operations teams are totally lost at this moment with the maze of different vendors that exist. And any organization, you walk into any large organization and you look at the portfolio of their cybersecurity tools, we have 37 different security tools, and we spend most of our time importing and exporting to Excel to understand what's going on across those tools. So that lack of interoperability and the integration and automation between the different cybersecurity tools, I would probably say it's the top problem in cybersecurity is right now the ability to integrate and allow the cybersecurity operations team to focus on the real problem of the threat rather than trying to manage the different security tools and their ability to integrate. So definitely you have a serious problem that is affecting our industry today.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we're seeing with people. Like they don't want to they want to investigate, but they don't have the time to investigate. They need, I want this gone, stop it. And we're seeing that that automation that you were saying, that's huge, and then the integration, it's huge too. I mean, that's something that we've been able to, I feel like, to crack the code, at least that we could send IOCs to those third parties. And right now we have like over 50 or 60 that we do out of the box, and it's really easy to implement. And that's when we talk to people, they always go like, oh, is this going to be like a sim project? Like that takes me 6 to 12 months and maybe I never get the full value of it. No, like in our case, you get the value in a few hours. You pay for it and you start using it and you start sending things. And there's a bunch of, but don't take my word. Like, your audience, just go to our website. There's a bunch of case studies on the website with people that recorded videos because they're happy with, they like what we're doing for them versus all their technologies that we're using before.
I can't believe that automation is a serious problem. And as I said, some cybersecurity teams spend more time integrating the tools they have than really using their tools, like we said, to stop the bank robberies, right? And where are you using AI and machine learning? We can't do a show about technology without talking about AI and machine learning.
Yeah, we are actually, we call it, it's a patent pending technology. We call it the Illumination process. And that's what, we look at, of course, the free feed, not the free feeds, the all the threat feeds that are out there, Talos and Fortinet and, like VirusTotal. So we look at those first. And then we take it to two different, we take it first through like machine learning, an AI engine, the first one. And then the next one is a deep correlation engine. And the idea is that if it doesn't have like a high probability of compromise, we don't care, we don't care about it. We want to like run it through a couple of little filters before we, and we can explain that, further, but I wanted to give you an idea that yes, we are. That's the short answer.
Very good. I don't think any technology company these days can afford not to have an AI and ML strategy. Is where the industry is heading, and it's such a hot topic these days.
Incredible. Yeah. I mean, it was a buzzword a couple of years ago, but ever since I joined this company, I'm also like working with third parties to help us with different aspects of the business, right? And some of them they have a .ai, like the name of the company .ai. That's like a new. I had not seen that until recently, right? And not just ChatGPT, but other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm an old timer, I do agree with you. AI has been around for the longest time. I remember back in the 80s and the 90s that AI was all the rage at the universities. But the big difference is that the industry and the society, dare I say it, is now finally seeing some measurable benefits and tools that actually bring something to the user. So AI was on this corner where only technologies talked about, and now AI is mainstream. AI is being talked about everybody. Hence the renewed focus on AI. And I'm very happy that society is really giving AI a chance. No technology and cybersecurity vendor can really afford to be in the marketplace without talking to AI, because at the end of the day, it's going to make our security analysts and security engineers and security operators much more effective in their job. And I like the way that you resume our job. Our job in cybersecurity is to stop bank robberies. I'm gonna
that's what it is. Yeah, that's you can, man. Like I say, I think this is what I do. KISS, keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid, right? Like I like to keep it simple. And I think everybody should. Like, we sometimes overcomplicate things that should not be complicated with a lot of different things.
It's a great conversation, and I'm gonna just finish it by saying that I did say that I liked the CIO role better, but maybe now I'm gonna give the answer that you perhaps were expecting me to give you. But cybersecurity is really my passion. It's really what gets me going. Although I really like the CIO role, and I would definitely go back and be a CIO again, cybersecurity is really what my passion is. And I think from this conversation, it's very clear that it's definitely a passion for you as well.
Yeah, it is. And actually, a few years ago, like back when I was at ISS, and then when I left, I joined like a small company in between like ISS and Cisco. I was like, I wanted to get out of the market. I wanted to like find something else, because I thought, oh, this guy's like this Salesforce guys or this other companies, they're making all this money, right? Without having to do as much work as we do. Because as you know, in security, you have to, now it's more mainstream, but 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, it was like about defacing a website or a worm or something that came in, but it wasn't now it's pretty mainstream. I mean, you're seeing every day some news about it, and I'm glad that I'm here. I mean, thanks to the cybersecurity, I was able to become a pilot and get a small plane. So I'm happy I stayed. But at one point, I was like, I'm tired of trying to convince people. It's like selling insurance. I'm selling insurance, right? So I'm glad I stayed, and I'm glad that I can apply my experience to this new endeavor that I'm in. So, like, I guess everything works out in the end.
We're going to save the world and stop bank robberies. That's the mission of cybersecurity.
Exactly. That's the mission. Like, you need to stop it. There's no other option. I mean, all of my stuff is out there online. Like, like my documents. Like, I used to be resistant against it. The one I haven't implemented yet. Like, I haven't tried ChatGPT. I even have all kinds of friends that are not technology. Oh, I use ChatGPT. I'm like, have PTSD from watching Terminator 1 and 2. Like, the AI is going to take over. So or the Matrix or one of those, right? But I haven't tried it yet. I need to try it, especially to write. I have friends that are using it to write emails, to write short little things here and there.
I think you need to try it, Luis, and we'll make another show about your experience with ChatGPT. How does that sound?
That sounds good. I'm almost convinced to give my login information to yet another website.
You heard it here first. Luis is going to try to dip his toes into the world of ChatGPT, and we will come back to see how was that experience.
Yeah, if you hear me talking like very differently the next time, then you know that I got possessed.
You've been taken over by the AI. You enter the world of the singularity.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Luis. This was an exciting and amazing conversation, and thank you all for joining us today for another episode of the CyberVerse Business Report. I'm Rodrigo Loureiro, and I'm your host and guide to the CyberVerse. Check us out at the CyberVerse Business Report here on YouTube and on all the podcast platforms, and check us out at the cyberverseadvisor.com. Thank you for spending some time with us, Luis, and see you soon on your experience on AI and ChatGPT.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time. It was a good conversation, especially at this time of day. Gets the mind going. So thank you. Have a great day.
Exactly.
Good to talk to you.
Thank you all.